So, in last discussion also we discussed about config server and one more important where is it? Config server we discussed and we understand the need of config server. Okay, all the configurations we can get from any keywords or we can use any private repository. From there we can get it into config server and we can use that properties in our microservices. As I said, right, you will be having so many microservices. Maintaining all your application properties locally is so much difficult. Not for you, for your business people when they want to do the changes, or when your lead or a configuration manager. Nowadays, one new role also created, configuration admin or configuration manager. So he should able to manage all these configurations. If you have a single place, there he can able to handle all your configurations. Okay, so whenever some passwords need to change, as he is authorized, he can go to wherever all that configuration stuff is there and he can able to modify it easily. Similar way, when we have so many microservices, right, we should not give our microservices server ID, which means the port number and the application path, right? We should not directly share with the front end team or any other teams. Consider here we have so many microservices, product service, order service, delivery, reviews, blah blah blah. We have when somebody wants to access products details from front end or any other backend service, if they wanted to access, you need not to share the entire path. If you share the entire path, they will get the visibility in which server you are running or your service path. Okay, visibility they will get and directly they will access. That will create a security issue. Apart from that, it will be very difficult to keep many services URLs here if you work in both the front end and back end or if you came across. What is the difficulty here is in this front end, right? They need to maintain all your back end service URLs here. As I said, in front end they need to maintain your development URLs, your SIT URLs, pre-prod URLs, production URLs. If you have continuity of business, COB URLs, everything they should have configured here as well again. So it is difficult to them to manage all your backend URLs here. So instead of maintaining that many URLs, if you share only gateway URL, if gateway, if it can able to switch to backends dynamically based on the gateway URL slash the subdomain or you can say extension of your URL. If this extension of this URL, if you configure in gateway with expression like in servlets, we configure URL pattern to redirect our front end to backend. Similar way in this gateway, you can do similar configurations. When somebody comes with this product extension, gateway URL slash product extension, you may send it to product service. If somebody coming with gateway URL slash order service, from gateway you may redirect to order service. That means you need not to share your backend service URLs to front end. You can share only gateway. In real time, there are so many gateways. There are so many gateways. Okay, there are so many gateways. Like in Azure, we use practically I used Azure Gateway. Azure Gateway I have used. There, what we used to do, we used to configure our application backend URLs into that gateway. Throughout the organization, they will have a common gateway. In my insurance application, and as well as in last e-commerce application also while I was working for Walmart. There again same Azure stuff they used. All the backend URLs and other extra services URLs. Everything we used to commonly configure in a gateway, and we ask front end or other teams whoever wants to access our backend services. We used to say them go through a gateway dashboard. From gateway dashboard, they can inspect all your services, which our services are available, and they will access your services via gateway only. Okay. I just want to list out a few other names that I have copied. Just a minute. Just a minute. Okay. So there are so many gateways. I'll just write down their names here. Maybe when you hear about them, right? Just imagine they are all just gateways. I'm not fully aware that about the providers also, but just let me give few names here. Solo, IBM vendors, API, Connect, Ambassador. You may Google it if you want. Who is the provider? What is the licensing cost? Red Hat, 3 scale, Layer 7, API Gateway, TYK, and AWS API Gateway. Just a minute. And as usual, Azure also having Azure API management. And APG. Someone right was asking about APG also in their application they were using. MuleSoft also providing it. Kong, Kraken, Software AG, Gravity, Activity, Boomi, WSO2, Tibco, all are providing gateway services. Cloud gateways, you can say, in other words. Apart from this, I have my own infrastructure. I don't want to use it. I don't want to use any existing API gateway. I just want to build my own. That's fine. As an alternate, right? Instead of using existing cloud gateways, if you want to build your own gateway, Spring always supporting Spring Cloud Gateway. You can use Spring Cloud Gateway. You can build your own gateway here. It is not difficult. It's like a simple microservice you need to implement just by adding Spring Cloud Gateway dependencies. Whatever we do in this Spring Cloud Gateway, right? Similar thing we do across all these gateway services. There you need not to implement any code while using existing gateways, right? They will provide you gateway dashboards. Just there you need to go and you need to upload your service URLs. That's it. Whereas in Spring Cloud Gateway, we will use property file or a configuration file. There we configure the similar URLs. Both are same. They both do the same job. But as if it is a cloud, we will have a lot of advantages. If it is a cloud, they will have failovers, high availability, okay, no downtime, as you know what cloud is providing. Okay, but if you don't have cloud infrastructure, in-house application, and you have own servers, there you want to implement the similar environment, then you can implement it like how we implemented config server. As I said, there are many key vault services we have from cloud, but if you don't have that much budget or flexibility in-house, if you want to build, you can build. Use your simple Git or Bitbucket, and you can create your repository with your properties and bring it into config server, and you can utilize wherever you want to use with a simple configuration. Same way we can do Spring Cloud Gateway also. I'll be directly showing you example first to understand it easily. I have two applications, product service and the customer service. Okay, these two services I will integrate with the gateway and show you. Before that, I'll just show you simple product service code. Okay, what I have in this. Okay, so this is simple product service, and here I have controller, product service controller. Okay, product service controller, and this is the request mapping URL, product service request mapping URLs, and this is a REST controller. Okay, simple REST controller. And what I'm doing here is just preparing a dummy list of products. Okay, simple dummy list of products, product name, product color, something iPhone, red color 15,000, product 2 TV, color, price, product 3 book, color and price. Like that, I created 5 dummy products and adding into a list. Just to show you, when somebody request get all products instead of getting from database, I'm just bringing it from here. But it's okay. And this is just a simple environment predefined class. I just auto-wide here. The use of environment class is here. You can get your properties. You can get your properties which are there in your configuration file, or whichever properties you pass from runtime arguments. You can get that arguments here using environment.get property, local server port number. I want to just know which port number it is running. Okay. So along with the product details, I'm just appending port number also here. Okay, I'm just appending port number and sending that list. Okay, sending that list as a return. Just run this and see. Just run this and see. A simple service. Okay, simple microservice which is running in port number 9090, and I named it Spring application name product service. Okay, product service, and I don't want any Eureka here. Let me comment it. We'll see about Eureka later. And just a Spring Boot application enable discovery client. Let's run it. Okay, there is no discovery server. I think we can close that. Later we will see. It is for load balancing, but for now it's okay. Let's not use it. Simple application, simple microservice. getting list of products. Okay, simple microservice. Let's refresh and run it. Why still it is maybe enable we enabled Eureka here. Let's comment that as well. Eureka is not required for now. Later we will see load balance also. For now we will just go with only gateway. We will understand first gateway. Okay. Go. Okay, started. Now comfortability started. A simple microservice which is running in port number 9091. Good. Let me take a new window. Localhost 9091 slash get all products. Is that the URL of your controller? No, it is having product service slash product slash get all products. That is the complete URL. 9091 slash get all products. Okay. So as soon as I requested for get all products, it is giving all the products. And finally one dummy product, as I mean it is not product, just port number we added to know on which port it is running. Okay. Just a simple microservice. Okay. It is running in as soon as continuously I am hitting, it is appending that port number. It's okay. Now let me show you one more microservice. One more microservice like product service, one more microservice. And I'll integrate both of them with the customer service. Let me comment. Okay, Eureka is not configured. Okay, this is also one simple microservice. Here, this is customer service returning customer details like product. When somebody hits gets get all customers, I'm giving customer details. And this is the complete URL customer service slash customer slash get all customers. And this is running in port number 9098. Okay, a simple microservice. Run it. So customer service also running. Execute it localhost 9098 or which port it is 9080. Okay. Port number 9080 slash get all customers. Okay, all the customer details I'm getting. Just let me copy these two URLs to make you understand it clearly. So this is product service URL. Okay, this is product service URL. And one more service is customer service. Customer service URL is this. customer service. One is running in 9091, 9080. Now, if you have any front end, okay, if you have any front end to run that backend services, if you have any front end, Angular front end or React, any front end. So, front end want to access your backend services. One is product service and one is customer service. So, when from front end, if they want to list all the products or list all the customers, product service need to make Ajax calls to this service and this service. If I start giving direct microservices access to this backend, if I start giving this microservices access to front end, it will be becoming very difficult going forward. When you move it to next environment, it is difficult to the front end team also to recognize or to understand which URLs you are using. Or they need to talk with you, you need to share the URLs every time. And in case in future if you change your server service URL, that will impact your front end also. So changes are not so easy. Today I am running in one server, something server one and port to some port. In future if I change it to server two, it is very difficult to front end to understand. So future changes will impact your front end. Or in case if product service wanted to access in customer or customers data if you want to access from product service, still they need URLs of each service. So it is very difficult to give direct access or direct URLs. So we should not share these URLs. Instead, we should have a common URL. Like this, you may build hundreds of services. Across your application, you may have hundreds of microservices. But I can't share all that URLs to front end or other backend teams. And that is not a legal approach also. Actually, in API gateways or in cloud services, what we do, once we run our service, right, we keep these URLs into gateways. Gateway will provide another URL, or via gateway it will provide a new URL. So using that new gateway URL, other teams will able to access your backend services. Now let me introduce a gateway here. Let me introduce a gateway here. Instead of you sharing this product service and customer service URLs, if you have a gateway, you can keep this product service, customer service inside gateway. Here you can configure backend URLs, and you can share only gateway URL with the front end. When front end wants to access, you can give gateway URL. Via gateway URL, they can access your backends. Gateway URL slash whatever subdomain URL you have here. If they know this, that is sufficient. You need not to share your host and ports. So in gateway we configure in such a way. In gateway we configure in such a way. The pattern URL pattern we map to backend URL. Same thing in web.xml file like how we do. Similar way we do it. So let me show you a gateway application. These two are running, right? Let them run. Let me show you gateway. I have simple gateway application here. Simple gateway application here. And I added one dependency. One dependency. Actually, this Eureka client also not required. Let me comment it. Later we will see Eureka. Okay, I have gateway here. I have gateway here. Okay. Gateway dependency. Spring Cloud Starter gateway. Bus. And go to properties file and see. Or do we need to configure any special configurations here? Maybe for gateway, you may give a port number, whichever port you want. Whichever port you want, you can give the port number to your gateway. So if not there, using YML also you can configure. I'm using port number 500. Actually, why I started using it is while I was deploying it into AWS, AWS not allowing me to access from my local to AWS, right? With other port numbers. By default, AWS allowing 500. So that's why I started using it. Okay. So because I need to access gateway, via gateway I need to access to my local services. That's why I kept this. Okay. Gateway looks fine. So this is for Eureka. As Eureka itself is not available, let me comment it. No Eureka for now. Now coming to gateway configurations. Here I am configuring. Okay. Cloud gateway routes. You need to configure cloud.gateway.routes. Means your URL patterns. And here I am giving IDs. ID means your application names. ID means your application names. While using load balancer, you can use this. Otherwise, let me comment it. URI, we can't use like that. It is running in 9091 instead of it, right? When we use load balancer, we will use that property, okay? 9091 for product service. When somebody hit with the slash product service with the gateway URL, now onwards, right? This meaning is what? Predicate meaning is pattern. If anybody access with this port number, means your front end. If front end access like this localhost colon 5000 slash product service slash, as usual you have the service URL here. So if somebody access gateway URL localhost 50 product service with any, under that product service you may have so many different URLs. So any URL when they configure right URL, okay, with the product service with expression, okay, what it is saying, redirect it to this service. Just this is saying route it. Just route it to this service. We'll talk about load balancing later. And similar way, when somebody access with customer service, it is saying redirect to 9080. That's it. Just you need to configure routes. That's it. Now let me run. Let me run. We disabled Eureka, right? That's why Eureka client not on it. Let me comment it. Eureka is not required. Okay, we'll talk about other filters. What are they and why we configured them. For now, that's it. Just run this gateway service also and see the beauty. Okay, started gateway service. Started gateway service, which is running in 500. Let me access that 500 service. Localhost 500. What I can see here, localhost 500. Okay, I'm seeing white label error, but it's okay. Slash. I have gateway URL. I have gateway URL. Now, see, I have these two services, right? Customer service and as well as product service. The two services now via gateway URL I can access. Instead of I share my port and host to front end, what I can refer is I will ask them to use gateway reference. Via gateway reference, they can access it. Now let's see, try to access products. Consider you have front end here. Try to access products. See, via gateway port I am accessing it. Earlier we accessed it from 9091. The same stuff I'm getting from 5000 also. Strange. Okay. And customer service also, let me try to access. Customer service also, let me try to access. Yes, I can able to access customer data also. How? Nothing. Gateway is taking care of routing. Internally, it is just routing your request, just it is forwarding. If you remember the filters concepts, if you remember the filters concepts in servlets, filters will do the same job. In case if you want to see whether your request is really going to gateway or else, you can implement one filter here and you can see security kind of stuff also you can apply here. Just see one login filter implemented here. Just see one login filter is added. Implemented it from global filter, like a filter interface in servlets. Okay, so here I am adding log global pre filter, post filter. You see that pre filter and post filter will execute for every one of your requests. Via gateway whenever I request for customers. See here I got some log, global pre filter executed, post filter executed, and security also applied. So security pre filter, post filters also executed. So you can implement any number of filters. You can do filter job also here inside gateway. Like what kind of filters we may need, maybe logging you may need to apply via filter. Security you can apply while taking request from front end to back end. You can check whether that request is a valid request or not. Any kind of filtrations you can apply here. Apart from that, more we can do. Okay, tomorrow after Eureka discussion, we will see that. After Eureka discussion, I'll show you the load balancer, right? After load balancer, we will include together all these gateway, config server, load balancer, and we will see how they are functioning. Okay, we will implement just by adding all together. Okay, just by adding all together, we will implement it. Okay, is it clear? We will implement a small use case including front end once after this load balancer and few other concepts we have. Okay, once done with them we will see. Is it clear? Just go through example, not too difficult. If you do 1 2 times practice, you will easily understand. Okay, about configuration server and gateways. I'll just check where I uploaded these examples and share it with you. Somewhere they are there. Just a minute. Uh, let me find it. Not here. I will check it and share it. Okay, I will share it with you. Tomorrow we'll see load balancer concept and continue from there. Okay. Yeah. If no questions, we'll close for today. We'll continue tomorrow. Yes, Manas. Yeah, Manas. Gateway I'm running in 500, 5000. Gateway in 5000. After gateway URL, as usual, your service URL. See, yeah, after predicate, when it reaches to gateway, right, it should forward from there to your microservice. When it go to your microservice, this URL should match with your methods, right? So, end of the day, after predicate, you need to give the actual URL, which is there in your controller. Otherwise, that methods will not able to access, right? Even gateway can't able to forward them. Okay. So this all will be same except to the host. Usually the problem statement is we don't want show the host where we are running, how we are running, and a single point of contact apart from host, right? If I have hundreds of services, why I should share all that 100 services host to front end? It is difficult to them also, right, to maintain them. Instead of that, they will maintain only this local host. If it is a development, they will keep development environment file. If it is SIT, for SIT they may have some different host, comma port of your gateway. Same thing for UAT. Just they will maintain one URL. They don't worry about all your hundreds of microservices, right? So they need single point of contact. Earlier we don't have these struggles because as all this together we have in a single application. But now when you imagine microservices, it is difficult to them also, right? To understand where you are running, how you are running. In future also, there might be some kind of problems might arise. So in this host, you may don't want to continue this product service, and you may want to switch to another host, another server. Consider you are running in server one in 9091. In future, you want to change the port number and host both. When you want to do such changes, again you need to communicate the same to front end team. Front end also need to do the changes. It will become difficult to them, or it will be very difficult from the maintenance point of view. But if you imagine that with a gateway, they don't bother about your service changes. As soon as you change your microservice, you go to gateway and change it in the backend URL, right? There you need to apply your change and you need to run it. In case if you even don't want to the gateways, load balancers will help. That we will see later. Okay. In gateway also we need not to put direct backend URLs. Instead of that, load balancer if we configure that, it will take care. Okay, when URL pattern comes in load balancer, we give app name. So with that app name in load balancer, there will be several number of uh, services will be running. Load balancer will suggest to the gateway which is the best application URL that need to pick up. Okay, that's a different concept. Okay, yeah.